Hey, welcome back to another week of the Life of Christ. Today we are going to be in part 10 of the Life of Christ, and we're going to start out in John chapter 6, verse 1. And it reads, "After these things, Jesus went over the Sea of Galilee, which is the Sea of Tiberias." Now, after these things, what are these things? I'm not going to read all of the things, but I'm going to give you a brief summary. After these things, the things that Jesus is speaking of is the fact that his dear friend John the Baptist was beheaded, was killed. And when the disciples told Jesus that his friend was dead, Jesus departed into the mountains to mourn and pray. Jesus had also just sent the disciples out to pray for the sick, and they had just returned. So after those things, here we are. And a great multitude followed him, because they saw his miracles which he did on them that were diseased. And Jesus went up into a mountain, and there he sat with his disciples. And the Passover, a feast of the Jews, was nigh. When Jesus then lifted up his eyes, and saw a great company come unto him, he saith unto Philip, Whence shall we buy bread, that these may eat? And this he said, proved to him, for he himself knew what he would do. Philip answered him, 200 pennyworth of bread is not sufficient for them, that every one of them may take a little. So why did Jesus ask Philip? The reason why is because either Philip was familiar with that area, or Jesus was testing Philip's faith. And the second one is very likely. Why would Jesus be testing Philip's faith? Because Philip was putting a limit on what God could do by saying that they could get 200 pennyworth of bread, but that would just be enough bread to feed that many. Even if everyone just got a little tiny bit, it would not be enough to feed that many. So what can we take from Philip's faith being tested in our own lives? We can take that nothing is impossible or too big for God. So Jesus asked Philip where to buy the bread, because the place that they were in was familiar to Philip. He knew the area, and he also knew that they did not have enough money to feed that many people. What he did not know was that Jesus was testing his faith. Jesus wanted Philip to understand that he was limiting himself by saying, this is not possible. We have to understand that no matter what the situation is, all things are possible through Christ. Philip put a limit on what Jesus was capable of doing, but Jesus set up the biggest feast in all of the Bible. One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, saith unto him, There is a lad here, which hath 5 barley loaves and 2 small fishes. But what are they among so many? Again, limiting God. God used a young lad to bring forth one of the biggest miracle feasts in all of the Bible. What does that say for a young person today? If God could use a young child to feed 5,000 men, there's no age limit on God and who he can use. There's no age limit on who God can use. And Jesus said, Make the men sit down. Now there was much grass in the place, so the men sat down, in number about 5,000. How many people does the Bible say were at the feast? This was not including women and children that were there. There was a lot of people present at this feast, well over 5,000. And Jesus took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed to the disciples, and the disciples to them that were set down, and likewise of the fishes as much as they would. When they were filled, he said unto his disciples, Gather up the fragments that remain, and nothing be lost. Therefore they gathered them together, and filled 12 baskets with the fragments of the 5 barley loaves, which remained over and above unto them that they had eaten. Why did Jesus say to gather up the leftovers? And what significance does this have in our lives? See, because God took what wasn't used, gathered it together to help feed even more people. God will not let your shortcomings or the things that you left sitting around go to waste. He will pick up what you didn't use, and He will give it to someone who will use it. Then those men, when they had seen the miracle that Jesus did, said, "This is of a truth that prophet that should come into the world." Do you ever wonder where in the Old Testament it's prophesied of Jesus? This is what it's referring to. It's prophesied in Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 15. "The Lord thy God will raise up unto thee a prophet from the midst of thee, of thy brethren, like unto me. Unto him ye shall hearken." Words spoken by Moses about a man named Jesus rising up. John chapter 6, verse 64. "But there are some of you that believe not, for Jesus knew from the beginning who they were that believed not, and who should betray him. And he said, Therefore said I unto you, that no man can come unto me, except it were given unto him of my Father. And the time many of his disciples went back and walked no more with him. Then said Jesus unto the 12, Will ye also go away? Then Simon Peter answered him, Lord, to whom shall we go? Thou hast the words of eternal life, and we believe and are sure that thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. Jesus answered them, Have not I chosen you 12, and one of you is a devil? How did Jesus know that one would betray him? Because he knows our future. He knows the choices that we're going to make in our future. He already knows us and what we're going to do. This doesn't take away from our free will. A lot of people don't understand it. It does not change that we have a choice. We have a free will. It simply means that God knows what choice we are going to make before we ever make the choice. He already knows what we're going to do. Why did many of the disciples leave Jesus? The answer is because Jesus' teachings were simply too hard for them. They did not like everything that he had to say. They did not like the standard that they had to live by. And this shows that Jesus called all who followed him his disciples. Not just the 12. It shows all who followed him. He called them his disciples. Mark chapter 7. Then came together unto him the Pharisees and certain of the scribes which came from Jerusalem. And when they saw some of his disciples eat bread with defiled, that is to say, with unwashen hands, they found fault. For the Pharisees and all the Jews except they wash their hands oft, eat not, holding the tradition of the elders. And when they come from the market, except they wash, they eat not. And many other things there be, which they have received to hold, as the washing of cups and pots, brazen vessels, and of tables. Then the Pharisees scribes asked him, Why walk not thy disciples according to the tradition of the elders, but eat bread with unwashen hands? He answered and said unto them, Well, Esaias prophesied of you hypocrites, as it is written, This people honoreth me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. What were the Pharisees always concerned with? The Pharisees were always caught up in making sure that the disciples' hands were clean, because according to the law, if they did not wash their hands, they were unclean. Jesus went on to say it doesn't matter how clean your outward appearance is. That's all they were concerned about, was outward appearance. Jesus said he's concerned with what your inward appearance is, not outward appearance. What comes from within. What is your condition of your heart? The Pharisees were only concerned with the outward, not their heart. Howbeit in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines and commandments of men. For laying aside the commandment of God, ye hold the tradition of men, as the washing of pots and cups, and many other such things ye do. And he said unto them, Full well ye reject the commandment of God, that ye may keep your own tradition. For Moses said, Honor thy father and thy mother, and whoso curseth father or mother, let him die the death. But ye say, If a man shall say to his father or mother, It is Corban, that is to say, a gift, by whatsoever thou mightest be profited by me, he shall be free. So Jesus rebuked the Pharisees and told them they cursed their father and mother, they would die the death. Why did he say these things to the Pharisees? Because the Pharisees were using God as an excuse to not help their needy parents. The Pharisees gave all of their time and money into the temple so they could look better for themselves. Jesus said they should have made sure that their family was taken care of. Caring for those in need was very important in the Old Testament as well. And ye suffer him no more to do aught for his father or his mother, making the word of God of none effect through your tradition, which ye have delivered, and many such things do ye. And when he had called all the people unto him, he said unto them, Hearken unto me every one of you, and understand. There is nothing from without a man that entering into him can defile him, but the things which come out of him, those are they that defile the man. If any man hath ears, let him hear. And when he was entered into the house from the people, his disciples asked him concerning the parable. And he saith unto them, Are ye so without understanding also? Do ye not perceive that whatsoever things from without entereth into the man, it cannot defile him? Because it entereth not into his heart, but into the belly, and goeth out into the draught, purging all the meats. And he said, That which cometh out of the man, that defileth the man. For from within, out of the heart of men proceed evil thoughts, adulteries, fornications, murders, thefts, covetousness, wickedness, deceit, lasciviousness, an evil eye, blasphemy, pride, foolishness. All these evil things come from within and defile a man. What defiles you as a person? What is the cause of sin in your life? The things that we take in through life do not defile us. In other words, you may hear something that you shouldn't hear, but it's what you do with it that makes you who you are spiritually. You may see something that you should not have seen, but if you cast that image down and leave it down, it has not harmed you spiritually. The things that come from someone's mouth is what comes from their heart. Matthew 16. From that time forth began Jesus to shew unto his disciples how that he must go into Jerusalem and suffer many things for the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be killed and be raised again the third day. And Peter took him and began to rebuke him, saying, Be it far from thee, Lord, this shall not be unto thee. But he turned and said unto Peter, Get thee behind me, Satan. Thou art an offense to me, for thou savorest not the things that be of God, but those that be of men. Why would Peter rebuke Jesus? Peter tried to rebuke Jesus because Peter did not want Jesus to die. Jesus rebuked him back and told Peter, he said, You're being selfish. Jesus said, You do not want the things of God to come forth because you want me here on earth. But it was Jesus' destiny to be a living sacrifice, and the disciples just did not understand that at this point. Then said Jesus unto his disciples, If any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. What must you be prepared to do if you will follow Jesus? Jesus said if you're prepared to follow him, you better be prepared to be crucified with him. This road will not be easy, and you will be persecuted. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. What does it mean? We must lose our life for his sake in order to find our life. It means that we must be ready to lay down our life and to be crucified with Christ. Crucify our flesh. Crucify everything that we want. It's not about what we want. It's about what he wants. For what is a man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? For the Son of Man shall come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then he shall reward every man according to his works. What will we be rewarded on in heaven based upon? Every person will be rewarded based on, or punished by, based on their works here on this earth. You will be rewarded in heaven based on your works. You will be punished in hell based on your works, based on what you did on this earth. It's biblical. Verily I say unto you, there be some standing here which shall not taste of death, till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. What did he mean by this? What did he mean by there will be some standing here that will not taste of death until they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom? He was letting his disciples know that he would be going to his kingdom a lot sooner than what they thought. His disciples thought that Jesus would live a long, prosperous life full of miracles and healing. But he was letting them know, I'm not going to be here. I'm going to die way before you, and I'm going to ascend into heaven. And you're going to see me go to my kingdom. Matthew 17. And after 6 days Jesus taketh Peter, James, and John his brother, and bringeth them up into a high mountain apart, and was transfigured before them. And his face did shine as the sun, and his raiment was white as the light. And behold, there appeared unto them Moses and Elias, talking with them. What was the transfiguration? Moses and Elias, were two of the greatest prophets in the Old Testament. This was a vision that took place, and the disciples got to witness it. Then answered Peter and said unto Jesus, Lord, it is good for us to be here. If thou wilt, let us make here 3 tabernacles, one for thee, one for Moses, and one for Elias. While he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and behold, a voice out of the cloud, which said, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear ye him. Why did Peter want to build shrines for Jesus, Moses, and Elijah? Well, Peter wanted to build shrines in remembrance of all 3 of these amazing people in the Bible. The Messiah and the 2 prophets. He failed to realize that instead of thinking about how to show honor to them that should have been worshiping God and thanking him for this experience, God's voice out of the heavens showed Peter exactly where he should have been. Flat on his face, worshiping God. Not worried about how can we honor them with showing things, with shrines, but honoring him right now in this moment because he's giving you this opportunity to worship him. And when the disciples heard it, they fell on their face and were sore afraid. And Jesus came and touched them and said, Arise and be not afraid. When they had lifted up their eyes, they saw no man save Jesus only. And as they came down from the mountain, Jesus charged them, saying, "Tell the vision to no man, until the Son of Man be risen again from the dead." And his disciples asked him, saying, "Why then say the scribes, and Elias must first come?" And Jesus answered and said unto them, "Elias truly shall first come and restore all things. But I say unto you that Elias is come already, and they knew him not, but have done unto him whatsoever they listed. Likewise shall also the Son of Man suffer of them." The disciples think that Jesus was Elias the prophet, but Jesus said that Elias had already come. Jesus was not referring to himself, he was referring to Elijah. Then the disciples understood that he spake of them, of John the Baptist. Jesus points out the significance of how Elijah and John the Baptist were very familiar, both pointing people boldly to God. Jesus said the prophet had already come. They did not listen to him, so Jesus will continue to suffer a price for the sins of all of humanity. It's important that we worship him day to day in our life and always keep God in the center of our lives. Thank you for watching, and as always, God bless.